Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Brews. I'm your host, Commander Claw, and this series is about bringing you 5 cards to help you brew your commander and sometimes specific cards. But today we are talking about Balthier and Fran. Please forgive me if I say the names wrong. I'm new to Final Fantasy, ironically, after my age. I'm older than I look, trust me. But anyways, this is a Gruul commander that's all about vehicles and extra combats. That is amazing. All on one card. Then what's really good, it is Gruul. So you got green to have extra mana to play more vehicles, to cast vehicles, and trigger more of these abilities. So let's talk about Balthier and Fran. For one, red and a green, it is a 4/3 body legendary human rabbit. Okay. They have reach. Vehicles you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance and reach. Whenever a vehicle crewed by Balthier and Fran this turn attacks, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, you may pay 1 red and a green. If you do, after this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So let's unpack this. Okay, first of all, I love the reach. That means anybody with flyers is getting blocked. Okay. Um, I do like how your vehicles have vigilance. Why that is important? Because when you attack with a vehicle artifact creature, you have to tap it. Guess what? All you have to do now, when Balthier and Fran are on the battlefield, is just tap the creature to crew the vehicle. Then go to your combat and never tap your vehicle artifact creature to attack. Wow. So you're now open for blocking. And guess what? They give your vehicles reach. So if you got more creatures to crew it later when you're on the defensive, you can block flyers. Nasty. Nasty. This is just a both ways type of commander right here. You gotta love that. Okay, so let's talk about its last ability. The first combat phase, you can pay a total of 3 mana, 1 red and a green, to get an extra combat phase. Now, there's a bunch of things we can do here. You can make your vehicles, since they're artifacts, that's easily to clone them and duplicate them and put more of them on the battlefield. And there's just some nasty vehicles out there that just have extra abilities. Um, who doesn't like Battle Cruiser, right? All right, let's get into some cards. All right, well, let's talk about Cybermen Squadron for 7 mana, 5/5 body, artifact creature Cyberman. Non-legendary artifact creatures you control have Myriad. Whenever a creature with Myriad attacks for each opponent other than the defending player, you may create a token that's a copy of that creature that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. Exile the tokens at the end of combat. So guess what? All those artifact vehicle creatures that are not legendary, you'll be making copies of them attacking each opponent. That's really good. All you have to have is Cyberman Squadron on the battlefield. The other thing I must tell you is that the Myriad ability stacks. So if you have multiple instances of Myriad, you can have multiple copies of those creatures attacking those opponents. So when you're looking for equipments, if there's equipment that has Myriad or you have a spell that gives Myriad, just think about that and remember that they stack and you can have multiple instances of attackers. Moving on. If you hung on this far with me, thank you before I get into the really good stuff. But I got to share one of my favorite commanders with y'all because this is a very powerful man or dork. Very powerful. Let me introduce you to Meria, Scholar of Antiquity. For 1 red and a green, 3/3 body, legendary elf artificer. Tap an untapped non-token artifact you control. Add 1 green mana. Then tap 2 untapped non-token artifacts you control. Exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. This gets really nasty if you have artifacts on the battlefield that generally do something else, that have some other static ability or just an ability, or you can just transform artifacts into mana rocks for 3 mana. That's powerful. That is powerful. That is powerful. Then it gets nastier. Tap 2 untapped non-token artifacts, exile the top card of your library. You can do that at instant speed. If you are looking for a instant speed spell to interact with players and you feel like gambling, bam, you got this opportunity with Meria on the battlefield. And also, it works well with this commander as you go to your additional combat phase. And maybe you put in some kind of instant spell that, gives double strike or gives plus X plus 0 to one of your creatures. And you just feeling lucky and you pulled it. This is the card that you will need. Moving on to artifact vehicles and all these attack triggers that we want to talk about. So we got to buff our creatures. We got to make our creatures nasty. Thunderous Velocipede for 1 and 2 green, 5/5 body, artifact vehicle. It says it has trample. It also says each other vehicle and creatures you control enter with an additional +1/+1 counter on it if its mana value is 4 or less. Otherwise, it enters with 3 additional +1/+1 counters on it. Crew 3. +3/+3 on a vehicle creature that has 5 mana or more. Oh yeah, that's a big creature vehicle coming at an opponent. Let's move it on. All right, let's talk about the Weatherlight. For 4 mana, 4/5 body, legendary artifact vehicle. It has flying. It says whenever Weatherlight deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a historic card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. Crew 3. Why you would use this card is so you can get through your deck and replenish your hand with historic cards. If you're playing with vehicles, guess what? Vehicles are historics because they are artifacts. Yeah. So, when you're dealing damage with Weatherlight, maybe you have double strike on it. So it's dealing damage potentially to a player 2 times. Or if you have an additional combat phase, what do you know? And you hit a player twice in total, you got to flip over like a total of 10 cards. Disgusting. Get through your deck. That's how you're going to be able to win the game. It's almost like drawing cards, but you're not ish. All right, moving on to the right here. Lumbering World Wagon for 2 and a green. Star 4 for its body. Artifact vehicle. This vehicle power is equal to the number of lands you control. Oh, what do you know? We're in a Gruul commander. You're going to have a lot of lands. Okay, whenever this vehicle enters or attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Crew 4. Nasty. Mana ramp off of a enter the battlefield ability and attack triggers. Then imagine if you're going to extra combats. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Then it has star power equal to the amount of lands. It could be a 7/4. It could be a 2/4. But, you're in green, so you better have 10 mana laying on the battlefield at one point in time and during your match. Let's get a little bit more offensive with these other cards I got for you. Well, if you've just now watching my videos in general, I've been trying to tell players that double strike is the most powerful keyword, in my opinion, because it literally deals damage twice. It's almost like an extra combat, but it's not. You just deal damage twice. Well, I'm bringing you Berserker's Onslaught for 3 and 2 red. It's an enchantment. It says attacking creatures you control had double strike. I think that is this is a great card. For 5 mana, that's an enchantment that sits on the battlefield, and whenever you attack, all your creatures that are attacking have double strike. 5 mana is nothing for that ability. It's nothing. There's equipments that cost 5 plus mana and an equip cost, like a total huge amount of investment just to give a creature double strike. Okay. For that to sit on the battlefield and just, hey, my attacking creatures have double strike, your opponents should blow this up. Moving on to the next card. So I got a card that's going to take advantage of additional combats, but it's in green. Okay. So take advantage of additional combat phases like this card. Glorious Sunrise for 3 and 2 green. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose 1. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. Or target land gains tap, add 3 green mana until end of turn. Or draw a card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater. Or you gain 3 life. So if you have additional combat phases, at each beginning of your combat phase, you get to do this trigger. You get to choose. You choose what you want. Honestly, this is a great green card. I think it's really good for the draw card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater. Most of the time, that type of scenario will have that same instance, but it's power 4 or greater. So power 3 or greater is a little bit friendlier, and you can pull that off in my mind. Okay. So thank you for watching this video. If you like this Gruul vehicle commander, hit the like button. I want to see how many people are actually planning on building this. I mean, I'll see the views on how many people watch this, but hit the like button if you plan on building this. I'm actually interested to see because the Final Fantasy set is bringing a lot of Voltron commanders, but this nice little, hey, let's make vehicles even more relevant. And then this might be the wave that we need. But also, it got some previous support in the Aether Drift set, which we saw Thunderous Velocipede as one of my favorite cards. But hey, if there's any other suggestions that you have, feel free to put it in the comment section below. Thank you.